You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Wednesday. We are finally back. It's been a rough and tumble couple weeks here for me. I'm sure you could hear it a little bit in my my voice. Maybe you can't. I don't know. I can hear it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where generally it's your team every day. If you don't get like some kind of 2-week sickness, which is what I've been dealing with. Every time I get better, I get worse. It's not been fun anyway. I am your man on the ground, Isaiah Holt, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Had to do a show today regardless of anything because it is National Signing Day, early signing day. And it's been a heck of a day for the Wolverines. Later, we're going to bring on Jake Butt to talk a little bit about what he experienced recruiting, and he'll talk a little NIL and stuff like that. But before we do that, I do want to discuss what obviously happened today as far as what the Wolverines were able to do. I mean, it was a heck of a day for Michigan football. With 5 different commits. A couple of them are flips, signing everybody except for Cavante Henry, who announced that he's not signing until the later signing period. Obviously, that's going to be a battle. And Aaron Alexander, who does not, at this juncture, in my opinion, I have not heard anything concrete, but I would surmise that he will not end up in this class. I've reached out to a couple people. I know I don't normally break a lot of stuff, but these days, not anymore. Did a lot when I was at 24/7 in my first year here at with Wolverines Wire as well as Locked On Wolverines, but not as much by design in the last couple of years. But I'm still waiting to hear back from some of my sources about whether or not he is going to end up in the class. Pretty clear that he is not going to be a part of early signing, considering the graphic that Michigan put out with 23 commits, including the new guys and no Aaron Alexander. So when we hear more, we'll get into that. But let's talk a little bit about some of the guys Michigan did get. Obviously, the pinnacle is Will Johnson, weirdly the second to last to actually sign with the class. That's kind of surprising considering he's the guy that, that was the kingpin of it all. He was the guy who was recruiting the most actively. He's it's not surprising in the sense that he scheduled a party, like a signing party in Detroit at Park in Campus Martius at 3. So it took a little while before he actually signed it, and it took a little while before it actually made its way to Michigan. But obviously the pinnacle, we've talked plenty about Will, but I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. He was at a Michigan tailgate in Indianapolis. So, I mean, like for anyone who had any consternation, that wasn't going to happen. Now, I will share with you some inside info in that back during his recruitment. Now, a lot of you know I don't cover recruiting the way I used to, but I am very close with the Will Johnson recruitment. There were a couple times where Ohio State was certainly not just in the mix, but the leader. The thing that helped Will get to Michigan was the insertion, and this was somewhat by design, of USC, getting to go and visit USC and break up Ohio State from being the leader. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but that was certainly part of the plan because he was all in for Ohio State for a very long time. And once he went out and visited USC, it kind of reset things for him. And then eventually he ended up at Michigan. So that's, I know that sounds weird, but that's actually what happened. And I certainly could get into more of it. I could, but I can't, you know what I mean? Obviously, got to touch on some of the big commitments today. Keon Saab, the former Clemson commit, used to be a 5-star. He's a 4-star now. He dropped in the rankings pretty much across the board. But, I mean, he's a guy that we were talking about over the summer, and he was a guy that everyone really wanted. And I remember writing stories about him coming to town and being, being in Michigan uniform. Everyone's all excited. I would count him as being one of those 5-stars, and, the over-under that for instance, that Jimmy Whitner, I believe it was, in the mailbag had given me the 2.5, so he would get you to 2 in my estimation, because to me. I mean, he's been a 5-star all the way through until late July. To me, it doesn't matter that he kind of fell. It's kind of like J.J. McCarthy or even Will Johnson in some circles there. But I mean, he's that level. He's a big physical safety. And if you want to speak about big physical safeties, obviously they've got another one in Zeke Berry, who, I mean, that wasn't a commitment today. That was a commitment the day before the Big Ten championship game. But, I mean, just a heck of a defensive back class, right? I mean, this was just an insane class as far as that was concerned, just because it's you look at the fact that they got Saab ultimately after it looked like he was gone. They got Zeke Berry. He's a guy that no one really had on their radar until relatively late here. You still were able to keep Cody Jones despite the overtures from Ole Miss and Tennessee. You were able to additionally keep Miles Pollard, who also got a lot of Tennessee interest. And I know I'm missing one. Damani Dent, who was getting a ton of overtures from Miami and Florida. 2 schools I believe he had offers from, even though none of the recruiting sites report that he has offers from them. But they were giving him pause, certainly. So it's pretty incredible that Michigan was able to get this defensive backs class. It's pretty insane. Now, keeping with the new commits, no one I'm probably more excited about than Darius Clemens. I mean, this guy is big. He is fast. He's 6'3". He's 205 pounds, and he runs a 4.3. I mean, that's exactly the type of thing you need. And he wasn't the only receiver they got. They got a 6'4" guy in Amarion Walker, who flipped over from Notre Dame, and he's a guy that Michigan had been trying to get for the longest time. And he's from Louisiana. First time that they've gotten gotten anyone from Louisiana since Drew Dillio and Carvin Johnson. So really good job by Ron Bellamy on getting him. But yeah, really excited about Darius Clemens. Also super excited about Derrick Moore, the St. Francis Academy defensive lineman. Looks like a defensive end, I don't remember his height, but he's 250 pounds. I believe he's like 6'5", 250. And he's rated by ESPN as the number 23 player in the country overall. Was a former Oklahoma commit and decommitted after Lincoln Riley went to USC. But ended up visiting Michigan on the 10th for his official visit. And then last but not least, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to say it for the sake of to lack of Snickers, Alex Orjai. I mean, we know how it might be pronounced otherwise. Looking forward to getting a pronunciation guide on that one. But nonetheless, he's a quarterback who is out of Saatchi, Texas, was a long-time commit to Virginia Tech. And Michigan flipped him. So there's 2 quarterbacks in the class. E.J. Holland at on 3 insist that he probably is better suited to be a linebacker. Like, he can be a game changer at linebacker, but they're going to give him a chance at quarterback. But I mean, that room is pretty loaded. So I would imagine if you want to see the field sooner than later, a switch to defense is probably your best bet. So those are the commits that they got. A couple flips, obviously. In a way, Derrick Moore essentially, flipped from Oklahoma. Omarion Walker flipped from Notre Dame. Alex Orjai flipped from Virginia Tech. And then you just had the other guys, Darius Clemens, who was long considered an Oregon lean, certainly upsetting some people on the Auburn board. And I think he probably endeared people today when he announced on CBS Sports HQ when he finished out by saying beat Ohio. Certainly that's the type of attitude that's needed. I know there's Ohio State guys out there kind of doing the same. As far as like some guys that I think maybe are going somewhat unheralded, there's a few. Tyler Morris, the wide receiver who was hurt this last year. Keep in mind that he was considered one of the top wide receivers some time ago. I'd actually have to look and see what he was rated at one point, because I believe he was rated much higher than he ended up being. But that when you get hurt and you don't get to play a season, and then you consider that I don't believe that there was much of a season last year due to him being in Illinois. I don't think they played their whole deal. I mean, he's 115th in the composite, 24/7 Sports composite. He was as high as 37 in the country back in 2019, dropped a little bit in 2020. So, I mean, like a year later. Again, I played a little bit, and then you have that, and he's kind of always been in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then was hurt and didn't really play, kind of dropped. So he's someone that I'm really excited about. I've heard that Colston Loveland, the tight end from Gooding in Idaho, runs like a 4.4 despite being like a 6'5", 6'6" guy. So I mean, he could be your Eric All type. Marlon Klein is another big athlete. I mean, here's the thing. When I look at a lot of these guys, a lot of these 3 stars, you look at their offer sheet. I care less sometimes about the recruiting rankings, and I care more about who's offering them. You see, Georgia was in almost every single one of those 3 stars that Michigan got. Georgia was a team that offered, and Georgia tends to have the best class in the country on a yearly basis. So that kind of tells you a little bit about what Michigan is getting in a lot of those guys. And I just think that you look at them, you look at Alabama, there was quite a few guys who had Alabama offers as well. So I really like the makeup of this class. It's one of those things where it's not going to be, it might be by the time that everything ends, say they keep Henry, who knows who they add on signing day proper. If they're able to get Josh Connerly, certainly they're going to be trying to add to the class still as everything transpires. But you get to that point in February, I'm not sure if it's going to look technically from like a ranking standpoint as one of the best classes that Jim Harbaugh's brought in, but from top to bottom, I mean, you've got a lot of guys that have really high floors and also guys that have high ceilings. So that's what you want. That's just everything that you want, everything you need. I'm very excited about it. I hope you are too. Anyway, I'm going to talk less. I think that is important for me. So we're going to move on, and we're going to bring in Jake Butt here momentarily. But before we do, listen, betonline.ag has you covered for all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues the march towards the playoffs. If you're looking at, I guess everything's in the march towards the playoff now. BetOnline also remains your number one spot for all sports action this season. Head over to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today. Receive your 50% welcome bonus using the promo code LOCKEDON with your first deposit from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Listen, I've been telling you about Prize Picks, and if you still haven't signed up, what are you waiting for? In addition to the college football action, Prize Picks makes college basketball more exciting. Listen, Prize Picks is a leader in college sports daily fantasy. Prize Picks offers more college football and basketball props than anyone in the world and offers all of the star players of the Power 5 as well as the mid-major players you may have never even heard of. Prize Picks also offers any prop you can think of. In basketball, you can play points, rebounds, assists, threes made, and more. Make your deposit. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll receive a 100% instant deposit match of up to $100. You can pick 2 to 5 players and over/under on the projections and win up to 10 times on any entry. Is just you versus the projected numbers. Prize Picks allows mixed sport entries, meaning you can take the over on Joel Embiid and the under on Aaron Rodgers in the same entry. Use the award-winning app on both the Apple App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals, so don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON or go to your Apple App Store or go to Apple or Google, whatever you do. Download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All right, because as we already kind of discussed at the top, you don't need to hear from me too much in my weakened state. So we're bringing on Jake Butt for the first time, and now it's actually been a couple weeks because last time we had him on was a week and a half ago in the preview for the Iowa game. But given that it is early signing day, Jake obviously has a unique perspective when it comes to recruiting because he's a guy who has been through it. He got to choose where he wanted to go. He ended up at Michigan. But Jake, you grew up a fan of a couple other teams. You grew up in Columbus, essentially at Pickerington, and wanted to go to Ohio State. You also liked Notre Dame. No offers from either. Let's go back to what was it like for you as a recruit in those moments while you're waiting, you're hoping for certain offers, you're visiting other schools. Tell us what that was like as a recruit.
Yeah, so I mean, you could go back a little while, and this is really an exciting time. This kind of all came about. Someone posted a little small recruiting article from my day when I actually committed to the University of Michigan. And it's so wild to reflect on that and see where we are now, and to, be here in the Michigan themed podcast studio. A lot of great memories. But for the recruits today, congratulations. It's very exciting. Obviously, Michigan fans that follow the program closely, see that, hey, man, we got some good momentum going. We're bringing in talent. And obviously, recruiting is the lifeblood of your organization. So if you're not getting good recruits, it's going to be tough. So Michigan should always be at the top, always competitive with the resources we have. And we'll get into that and why I came to Michigan later. But I think, to go back, I think an interesting thing to talk about, Isaiah, is for a lot of people to understand the process of getting to signing day. And to understand that, you got to go all the way back to pretty much Pee Wee football when, at least for me, I think it tells a better story is, you start playing sports when you're young and you truly play sports because you love to play it. If you don't, for me, I played one season of baseball and I hated it. So I never played baseball again. It was too slow for me. I played soccer, I played football, I played basketball. Really all those major active sports I was involved in, and I loved to do it. And at that point in time, I'm sure, unknowingly, there's parents that are like, hey, this kid could be special. This kid could be special, but you never know. It's way too young. You start getting a little bit older, 7th, 8th grade. All right, now guys are starting to separate. Maybe this guy could play at the next level. Maybe this guy could play at the next level. And you get to high school. And again, still, you're playing for the love of the game. I always think about, high school football. You got the kid on kickoff, and, you watch film the next week, and their kickoff return team has a wedge, 2-on-1. And you got your buddy on kickoff who has no chance of playing at the next level, but he's going to run down there head first and bust that wedge because the girl he's got a crush on is sitting in the student section. His family, he's wearing the name on the back of his jersey. This is the pride. This is the hometown pride. We're out here for the true love of the game. But something starts to happen right around your sophomore and your junior year. And, offers start to come in. For me, my first offer was Buffalo, a MAC school. And it started this momentum. Soon I got like Toledo. I started to get Bowling Green, more and more MAC schools. Eventually you get, I went to Cincinnati's camp. Cincinnati's a lot better than they are today than they were back then. Cincinnati gets an offer, and it kind of becomes momentum. Bigger schools are waiting to see, hey, is this guy who we think he is? And again, this is where you're still playing for the love of the game, but you're introduced to the business side of it. And, we're going to get to this a little bit later because now business is deeply, deeply ingrained in even college football, especially with the NIL. But, you have all these different options coming in, and you're floating. The best feeling in the world is you're sitting there in geometry class and Brady Hoke comes walking down the hallway and people are whispering, Michigan's here. Who they for? Who they for? Hey, Jake, we need to see you out in the hallway. You get to leave class and everybody in the class gets to see you. And there's Brady Hoke, the coach of Michigan. He's in the school right now. Like, wow, like you feel like the man. It's absolutely awesome. And for these kids, they've gotten the chance to experience that and soak it all in. It's really, really one of the best feelings. It's so exciting. You get up there to junior and senior year, and eventually you get the signing day, and you got to make a decision, and that's where it all comes in. Now, for me personally, you touched on a little bit. So people were asking about my story and my signing day story. So by now, I'm sure a lot of you know, I grew up on the east side of Columbus in a small town called Pickerington, Ohio. Grew up a diehard Buckeye fan, as a matter of fact. I had my basement decked out in Buckeye gear. Never in a million years thought I was going to go to Michigan. My second favorite school was Notre Dame, ironically enough. Why? Because my grandfather played for Frank Leahy, a legendary Notre Dame coach back in the 40s. Fun fact for you about my grandfather, Ripley's Believe It or Not, he never lost a game from 7th grade all the way till college. He's really, really remarkable. So my two schools were Notre Dame and Ohio State. Never thought I was going to Michigan. It was going to be one of those two schools, especially as offers start pulling in. I'm for sure going to get an offer from at least one, probably both of these schools. Well, it's getting into my junior year, and that's about the time where if you're a big time recruit, at the time I was a 4-star, you should really have your pick of the crop. Like whatever school you want should have already offered you by the end of your junior season. And at this point in time, I did not have a Notre Dame offer. I did not have an Ohio State offer. So I go out to Notre Dame's camp, and it's their senior camp, but really you're a junior at the time. If you're worth your weight, you should be, 4-star, 5-star, you should be as a junior going to their senior camp. And I'm out there with Jalen Smith. You guys may have heard of him. Big time player, Dallas Cowboy for a while, beast for Notre Dame. I think he signed a $70 million contract in the NFL. Absolute beast. And I'm playing tight end. He's playing linebacker. They just matched us up against each other. We did the 5-10-5 shuttle. I beat him. We're doing the 5-10-15 shuttle. I'm winning that. We're doing agility drills. I'm winning. Then we line up and we do one-on-ones. Can you beat him in the pass concept? Whoever they lined up across from me, I was absolutely dominating. I'm freaking buzzing at this point. Like, hey man, I'm gonna get this offer. Camp comes and goes, and they don't offer me. And there's a guy here. All right, so I guess we could say this. The tight end coach at the time was Tim Hinton. He's currently, or at least last time I checked, he was the tight end coach at Ohio State. So as Tim Hinton's there, I kind of got this vibe. I'm like, I don't think this guy likes me very much. I send in all my film all the time. I'm reaching out to Notre Dame. Hey, are you watching the tape? Are you watching the tape? Not hearing much. Tim Hinton comes into school. I'm like, Coach, have you seen my film yet? And he's like, oh no, I haven't seen it. Why don't you resend it to me? It's a little red flag. Like, man, you should have seen my film by now. Anyways, Tim Hinton ends up right at this time I'm about to commit or decide on my school. Tim Hinton leaves Notre Dame to go to Ohio State. So, okay, probably not good based on the fact he didn't want me at Notre Dame. Now he's at Ohio State. The new Notre Dame coach comes in, the tight end coach, about 2 months before I commit. He comes into school, he watches me practice basketball, and he's like, hey, just want to introduce myself. Like, how are you? What's going on? I'm like, hey, like, what's the deal? Like, you guys have not kind of been, giving me the cold shoulder. He's like, yeah, we haven't watched any of your tape. Like, no one really knew about you. Like, so Tim Hinton, I'm pretty sure, was like conspiracizing against me to ensure that I didn't go to Notre Dame. At that point in time, my junior year, no one had seen my tape. I was not on their board. I was essentially not wanted. Super disrespectful, man. I remember that to this day. Side story here, Isaiah. Back in high school, I would go around after he comes to Ohio State. I would go around and I would mow people's lawns. I'd knock on their door and see if I could mow your lawn, just make a couple extra bucks. I would tell them I was raising money for college. A little bit of a white lie. I had a scholarship, so spending money for college, I guess, beer money, whatever you want to call it. I knock on a door, and who answers? Tim Hinton's wife. So I'm mowing damn Tim Hinton's lawn. Like, clearly, man, I'm a lunch pail dude. I'm out of my way. I'm mowing your lawn after I go to football practice and I'm going to high school. I'm mowing your lawn. Is that not the guy you want on your team? You don't want me? You don't want me? They didn't want me. Best decision ever, though, man. It's funny how that works. So at that point, no Notre Dame, no Ohio State. My first ever visit, I wanted to go watch. It was the same weekend. It was Notre Dame, Michigan weekend, Michigan under the lights. First game under the lights in Michigan history. It was Penn State, Alabama in Penn State Stadium, night game. I'm like, Dad, I want to go see Penn State night game. I'm not going to Michigan. I'm not going to Michigan anyways. Let's go see Penn State night game. Convinced me along with one of his friends, Steve Osmond, a diehard Michigan fan. He's like, I don't know, man. Michigan's a pretty good school. Let's go up there and check that out. Good thing, because I think Bama blew out Penn State. It was not even a good game. And I got to see one of the craziest, best football games I've ever seen. I got to see it live in person. The first game under the lights, Denard Robinson hits Roy Roundtree in the corner of the end zone on a fade with time expiring to win the game. The crowd went nuts. It was absolutely unbelievable. At that point, I'm like, this winged helmet, these maize and blue, they might be on to something. And it kind of recruiting picks up a little bit. And
So
you know,
you're basically trying to make you're starting to make like life decisions. Meanwhile, at that same moment, I was hammered drunk in Los Angeles. So we were
hey,
pretty much in the same boat there.
that's right. I was a little too young to be hammered drunk, but I'm sure if you were drunk at that football game, it would have been a hell of a time. It was awesome. Um, but so this season this my junior season was remarkable. The next game I go to was Michigan State, Michigan. Michigan wins on a last second field goal. Crowd goes nuts. Big rivalry game. Brady Hoke's rolling. The team is rolling. Like, all right, these guys are pretty good. I end up the last Michigan game I go to at this time. I wasn't, I didn't have an offer, was Michigan, Ohio State, 2011. Brady Hoke's here. And at this point in time, I'm wearing Michigan gear in the stand. I'm right here watching my hometown team take on what used to be a rival. And I find myself rooting for Michigan. I'm like, I caught myself. I'm like, wait a second. I think I really like this place. I think I want to be a part of this. Awesome. 110,000 people in the big house. I'm a history guy. I love the history that the school has and the way the football program emphasizes it. Obviously, an excellent education, the top alumni base in the entire world. If I tell any recruit, sometimes I sit with recruits in the stadium and I'm like, listen, you guys in the world of NIL, you have teams are throwing you around cash here and there. You come to Michigan and it's the long play. It's the long-term play. You get a degree from here and you truly cannot lose in life. And I just want to hammer that home as much as possible because it was what really factored into my decision. End up around February and we're sitting there and it was a big recruiting weekend. It was a basketball game, top recruits everywhere. I think at this point in time, we had the #1 recruiting class in the country. Shane Morris was our quarterback. He was very, very big in getting everybody lined up. We had like 5 offensive linemen commit in one weekend. It was nuts. All of them were 4-star. A couple of them were 5-star. A couple of them were top rated at their position. Taco Charlton, he went to Pickerington Central from my hometown. He commits. I think we might have had like Demario Jones, Jerron Dukes, and Jordan Lewis, Channing Stribling. Everybody starts to commit, and I'm like, I wanted to commit on the spot. I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm jumping on this train too. I want to commit. He's like, just sleep on it. I love Michigan too. Just sleep on it. Had a 3-hour ride back from Ann Arbor to Columbus. By the time I got back to Columbus, I'm like, Dad, you can say what you want. I'm calling Brady Hoke right now. I freaking coach. I'm coming, baby. I'm coming to wear the winged helmet. I'm coming to rock the maize and blue. I love it. I'm happy to be here. And all Brady just says like, woo! He just like the phone goes away. And he just lets out this big scream. He starts telling all the other coaches. He puts Dan Ferrigno on the phone at the time. Al Borges was our OC. Dan Ferrigno was my tight end coach. Again, man, you remember that feeling I'm talking about when they're pulling you out of class and you feel like the man? No, now you're really the man. You go to class. This is on like a Thursday. Go to class on a Friday. Got to represent the maize and blue. You're walking around school. There's whispers. The girls are whispering. The dudes are whispering. Everybody's happy for you, giving you some love. It's the greatest feeling in the world, man. It's just to take you inside of what some of these recruits are feeling. Absolutely awesome. But as I say that, you can't put too much emphasis on the moment because as I see this now, and I've reached out to a couple of the recruits that just committed, is to let them know it's always about the journey and not the destination. That was an awesome goal and I hit it, but the job's not done. In fact, we haven't even got started yet. It's great. Give yourself a pat on the back, hug mom and dad. But now if this was where you set the bar, you got to raise it even higher. Now you got to figure out how you can get on the field and start getting snaps. All right, now I'm getting snaps on the field. Now I got to figure out how to earn a starting role. All right, I'm earning a starting role. Now I got to be a premier player. Then I got to be all Big Ten. Then I want to be an All-American. Then I want to be in the Michigan record book. Then I want to play on Sundays. There's just little steps to it. And you get to see the excitement with these recruits today. It's a step in the right direction. It's absolutely fabulous, man. There's no better place on the planet than Ann Arbor and the Michigan Wolverines. And of course, with Michigan rolling the way they are, these guys, There's no better combination of football, academics, and network in the entire world. And Michigan football is playing the best they have in a very, very long time. So, super excited for these guys. And, Isaiah, you and I were talking about a little bit, and everybody sees what's going on with Texas and the name, image, and likeness. And
let's get to that here momentarily. I gotta break just for a quick moment here to pay a few bills real fast. But before we move on to NIL and the fact that Texas flipped literally every recruit in the country today, I do have to tell you a little something about Omaha Steaks, right? Because like everyone has some kind of holiday memory with Omaha Steaks, or whether they're giving or they're receiving. I'm doing that backwards with my hands if you're watching online. Anyway, the holidays are around the corner. We are a mere 10 days away from Christmas, and finding the perfect gift is tricky. Omaha Steaks makes it easy to send friends and family an unforgettable gift guaranteed to be loved. So go to omahasteaks.com, enter college into the search bar to order for the perfect gift package for $99. Now, this is insane when you hear everything you get here. You get 24 entrees like the world famous bacon wrapped filet mignons, chicken breast sides, desserts, and so much more. When you use the code COLLEGE, you also get an additional 8 Omaha Steak burgers for free with your order. Now, we've all heard the reports about shortages and shipping delays, so don't wait. Order the perfect gift package today at omahasteaks.com. You'll get 8 free burgers when entering the code COLLEGE. Achieve gifting greatness with Omaha Steaks. Incredible flavor, incredible value, and 100% guaranteed. And again, omahasteaks.com, keyword college. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is that you can see that I am currently wearing, if you're watching on video, my Slippery Rock hoodie. It is the most comfortable hoodie that I own, aside from my Michigan one and the Tulane Green Wave one that's come today. I am also currently wearing, for those watching, and you might not be able to hear because I'm standing up, Jake, I'm showing you here, maybe. I've got my Michigan joggers that I picked up. Now, those were limited.
Unbelievably comfortable.
The most comfortable thing that you can wear. And this is all from homefieldapparel.com. If you don't know about Homefield, what it is a company that actually sits down and they study your school's history. They go through and they find all these unique designs, whether they're retro or modern. I have so many different things from Homefield, as you, the regular watcher / listener, know about. I don't just have Michigan stuff, but they have 19, I think now 20 things in the Michigan collection. My favorite is the hoodie, because the hoodies are the most comfortable thing that I've ever owned. But the shirts are also very comfortable as well. I'm certain to buy yet another Michigan shirt probably with my next paycheck, trying to be good about it and gift myself for Christmas. But here's the thing is, even for the non-Michigan fan, there are so many different schools. I mean, like, I've got a Georgia shirt, which is not going to get worn until after December 31st. I've got an Oklahoma State shirt, an LSU shirt. I've got a Florida shirt. I've got everything because they have so many cool designs from other schools. So go to homefieldapparel.com, use promo code LockedOnWolverines. You'll get 15% off of your first order. That is homefieldapparel.com. Promo code LockedOnWolverines for 15% off of your first order. All right, Jake. So you were going to say a little bit about how things are a little bit different now, because obviously there's NIL. You're actually very well versed in the way that's working right now. So what are your thoughts? What, you said, like you were mentioning, Texas they're clearly doing something to leverage it, given a lot of these flips that we saw today down in Austin, including
it's and you see little clips going around Twitter. Lane Kiffin, I thought it was, I actually laughed when I heard Lane Kiffin come out and say that, because it's like, Lane, maybe it's genius. It's like the reverse psychology. Lane, you're kidding me? You didn't know that this was already going on under the table already? You're kidding me, Lane? Come on. I guess that's it, in case anything ever hits the fan, Lane has that clip to fall back on. It's been going on for years. Everybody knows it. Some schools more than others, won't name names, but it's been going on for years. In a sense, this levels the playing field. People's fears. I don't think people even understand what they're saying. Well, boy, like, this is going to be really lopsided. All the big schools are going to get the best players. Isn't that what happens anyways? Don't the 5-stars go to Alabama and Georgia and Oklahoma and Ohio State and Michigan, Clemson? Freaking Montana State isn't getting a 5-star. If anything, you saw the commit. Jackson State today got them, one of the top players in the country. How'd they do that? They did it through the NIL. So in a sense, some of these fears that people have, it's just a little bit mechanical and unwarranted. As you can see, I think it's going to be a little bit similar to as it's been, but maybe they'll actually be a little bit more balanced as schools will be able to succeed. Texas has struggled. Now they're able to utilize their resources and take care of their players. I personally think that's a good thing, especially because you hear the coaches complaining. There's no loyalty by the coaches. Brian Kelly leaving when they're in the playoff hunt. He just leaves, gets up and leaves. Happens every single year. There's no loyalty at all, really. Everybody's for sale. For the right price, everybody's for sale. So make it fair for everybody and allow everyone to capitalize on that. That's the way the NIL goes. Now, when I think about recruiting, and one thing I've thought about a lot is it's a crapshoot, man. You have the Rivals 300, the ESPN 300. You got all these recruiting websites that are trying to, break people down. As a coaching staff, it would be literally impossible to, watch and really dissect every single person. So you got to lean on different resources, and you got to try to make good decisions. And as you saw this year with Michigan, so much of football success is culture. So, one thing, and this is just my opinion, what I would do and what I think should be done as a coaching staff. How often are you calling the coach of this recruit, the high school coach, the teachers, the principal? Is this a guy that shows up early, or do you have to try to walk him to class? High school coach, how does he pick up concepts? Is he smart on the football field? Does he have leadership attributes? Is he the first one to leave the field or the last one to leave? Is he early? Does he mentor the younger players? Talk to his teachers? How is he understanding? How is he doing his homework? Does he understand the teaching material very well? If you can find a guy that does all of that stuff, typically that means that's their DNA, and that's going to transition to the next level. They'll be able to take that DNA to the next level. Of course, you can identify talent, but it's the DNA that allows that talent to flourish and improve and develop. So, at some point you see some 5-stars that just absolutely live up to the hype. You see some 5-stars that fall completely short. I gotta imagine that that's not as big of a mystery as we think it is. I'd love to go back and see some of the 5-stars that fluttered and talk to the people that were closest to them in the school, really honestly. How much do they really love the game of football, or do they love what else comes with it? How much do they love working, or do they just like the end result? If you can ask those questions early, you can probably eliminate a lot of headaches down the line. So that's always something I've really, really wondered. And, for me personally, I was never a 4.5 40 tight end. I was 210 pounds coming out of high school. When I first walked on campus at Michigan, I did 3 reps at 225. Embarrassing. Receivers were doing more than me. I go out to the Nike opening but here's the thing. I go out to the opening out in Oregon, and they put us through a mini combine, vertical, 40, shuttle, all this kind of stuff. And I'll never forget it, man. I was going to do the keg toss, and I just run my 40. And you had a little card where they were writing down your times. And I hand the card to the coach there, and he sees my 40. And he literally laughed in my face. He absolutely disrespected me. It's burned into my head. I wish I knew the guy. He chuckled and just flat out disrespected me. Gave me no chance. Oh, man, yeah, what is this guy doing out here? Sounds about right? I go out there and I tear that camp up. Because football's more than being a fast 40. It's more than being able to bench. It's leverage. It's angles. It's timing. It's, can you attack the ball with your hands, or are you going to catch it with your body? Do I know how to change speed and change directions in my route? Can I make 3 different routes look the exact same so the defender is not tipped off? They got to guess. I ended up making all tournament team. There was 10 guys selected out of the entire camp. I made all tournament team. So as you sit here, don't fall in love with these times and these numbers. It's easy to fall in love with it. They're sexy. fall in love with the guy that loves to put his hand in the damn dirt, because that's what wins long term always. If you love the work, you're going to find a way to improve year over year, even if you're not quite there yet. Even when I walked on campus, I'm 210 pounds. My first spring ball, I got my ass handed to me by Frank Clark, knocking me back. But by July, I was 245 and I was way stronger. And by week 3, I was starting. And 2 years later, I was a 2-time All-American, 2-time Big Ten Tight End of the Year, Mackey Award winner. That doesn't happen because I ran a 4.5. It didn't happen because I put up 30 reps at 225. It happened because I love the game of football. I love the process. I love my school, my university, and my teammates, and I'm going to play for them. That's how you develop a culture. So as much as recruiting is about these sexy numbers, can you find the guy, can you identify the guy that loves the process? That's how you build a successful culture. And once you have that culture in place, Isaiah, is if you're not on board with that, you stick out like a sore thumb. And at that point, you're the odd man out. You got to go, man. If you don't want to be a part of this, what we're trying to accomplish here, you got to go. That's how you have year in, year out success like Nick Saban does every day. If someone's not showing up to work in Bama, they're going to get their ass handed to them. And they'll probably transfer because they're embarrassed, you know? I got to imagine it's the same way at, all these other schools that are having success year in, year out. Michigan's right now, here we are in the playoff. Can you capture this with good, high-quality recruits that are going to change the culture and lay a foundation that carries over year and allows you to have year-over-year success? So, as we sit here, I'm just getting fired up about it. It's an exciting day, but it's so much more than a 4-star or a 5-star. It's so much more than a 4.3 or a 4.6 40. Are you getting the right guys with the right DNA that also have talent, that also have speed, that also have strength? You're gonna have a lot of success if you can do that. And time will only tell with these recruits. So the best thing they have right now going for them is an opportunity to make a name for themselves, to come in here, make a splash at the best university in the entire world, man. And here we are playing for a chance to go to the national championship. What more could you ask?
And I can definitely tell you that that's exactly what the mentality has been, is about the work. I mean, that's been said a million times over now, and it seems like that's the type of recruit that they are looking for. I can attest, and I'm sure that you can in your time at Michigan, that there were some high-level guys who have come through who didn't like the work, that were about the prestige. I'm not going to name any names. There are some guys that I know of that didn't cut it in the classroom. There's guys I know that didn't work, that just, again, liked the attention that came with being a high-level recruit. Some of them did really well still. Some of them didn't. And whenever there's those questions, it kind of all makes sense in the end. Well, Jake, thank you for sharing so much. I hope that that made up for the lack of me being able to talk for more than, I think I talked for about 11 minutes on the recruits that were coming in. I obviously didn't touch on all of them. I know I did that last year, but not doing that this time around. Just happy to be speaking at this point. So anyway, that'll do it for us today. We'll be back at some time on Thursday, or at least I will be. I'm not really sure what time because I've got some time constraints, but we'll get to the mailbag that I had asked for questions last week. So don't put any questions in today because I got to go back to last week. So that'll probably either be really early or most likely really late, 9 p.m. ish. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching and or listening. We will talk to you soon. Peace.